Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Racha Kodash. Double honor and salutations to the apostles of the great millstone. Much respect to you, brothers out here pushing this truth with fear and sincerity, and shalom to the hopeful elect. It's your brother Khalak Hara, GMS Northwest. Come back at you with another video. This will be quick, just doing our, weekly readings and whatnot, and just stop and find three scriptures and through the Spirit, the Rakakadash, pull out some precepts along with these scriptures. So I want just to go over Proverbs 15:1-3 real quick through the Spirit and see where the Spirit takes us, and that'll be the lesson. Hopefully edify. It says, "A soft answer is turning away wrath." Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words store up anger. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge, all right, but the mouth of fools poured out foolishness. And just off the bat of those first two sentences, it made me think of the book of Daniel. I want to say it's the second chapter. When Nebuchadnezzar he had this dream, and he couldn't understand his own dream that he had. So he called all the musicians, the sorcerers, the Chaldeans, the elites of the time, to interpret his dream. If you didn't interpret the dream, they was going to die. They was going to be put to death. They was going to be dismembered and whatnot. And the decree went out throughout the whole land, and all the wise men and whatnot. And Daniel was a wise man, and the decree went out for him and Meshach, Abednego, and I'm drawing a blank on the last one. But there was a decree for them to be killed, But Daniel, gave a soft answer to the king, the person that was coming to take them out, and told, I can interpret a dream. I can break down the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had and tell him what it is, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. So he was able to turn away wrath and interpret that dream, and it became very great. I wouldn't say very great, but he was on a higher seat in Babylon the Great. He was on a higher seat. He was regarded because he was able to break down that dream that Nebuchadnezzar had. He was able to interpret it. So, that helped him, not be destroyed, And, verse 2 again, it says, "The tongue of the wise useth knowledge, all right, but the mouth of fools poured out foolishness." And another thing that comes to mind is when you're dealing with people of the world, when you're dealing with brothers, when you're dealing with even, Johnny Law, the police, you have to talk and with a right mind, because we're in those times, man. We're in the last days. You can't be telling people about what you do, what you believe in, because it don't line up with social norms. It don't line up with the reality that's been portrayed out here today. So, when you're at work, I know I have to watch my mouth when I'm at work, because I work around a bunch of Mormons and whatnot. And here I am. I know the truth. I understand the truth. So I can't just be going throughout my job and telling the people what's this and what's that, and because I can lose my job. And why would I want to, lose my job? Being overrighteous, being overrighteous can get you X'd out of things, as far as living a life here in Babylon. We patiently waiting on the Lord to come back. And in order to do that, we have to be in our right mind. We have to be, to the point where we're not just, talking, reckless out here. A soft answer. Soft answers turns away wrath. I'm reading that in NLT, Proverbs 15:1. It says, "A gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare." Even when you're dealing with people of the world and people out there on the highways and byways, Apostle Tahar is very, Elder Apostle Tahar is very good at it. I've seen a number of times where he talk about, um, dealing with the people of the world, and dealing with harsh people. You joke with them, just to get them to turn away, so you don't start no drama, nothing crazy happen, you know, because like I said, we are in those times. We had a brother just get stabbed up, not long ago. So you got to watch your surroundings. You got to know how to speak, how to stop speaking and when to speak. A gentle answer, Proverbs 15:1 in LT, a gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare. The tongue of the wise maketh knowledge appealing, but the mouth of fools bleacheth out foolishness. It says, verse 3, back in the KJV, it says, the eyes of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahshua, are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. Because the Lord is the one who sends the evil and the good. Isaiah 45:7, it says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahshua, do all these things. So the Lord is the one that's bringing the good times and the bad times. And he does it through his prophets, right? 17, Psalm 17:13 says, arise, O Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahshua, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And who bought the wicked? The Lord bought the wicked. Disappoint him. It's a Psalm of David. David's telling the Lord, disappoint this man, cast him down, because your sword, is upon us. We know that Esau Edom is the Lord's whooping stick, to show us that understand, that this is what evil is. You don't want to do this. You don't want to be a part of this, because this is the end of the evil. This is how they end. This is how the demise, come about, because they're not right. They're spiritually not right. They're not made to be upright. They were made to be crooked, and you can't make them straight. So disappoint them, because they thinking in their mind that they're going to continue to live like this forever. Their kingdom's going to be passed down to generation to generation. This is the forward thinking, the forward mind of Esau Edom, the heathen. This is what they boast about. This is what they're prideful in, that they're going to continue this running the earth up, and the Israelites stand on bottom. That's not going to happen. Let me read that in the KJ or in the NLT. Psalm 17:13 says, arise, O Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, stand against them and bring them to their knees. Rescue me from the wicked, which is your sword. Verse 14 in the KJV, it says, from men which are thy hand, O Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hidden treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. And we're just going into that. Esau and the heathens think they're going to continue this charade in the earth, and it's just going to be like this for generation upon generation upon generation. Their inward thought is their houses shall rule forever. What's that? We'll come back to that. 49:17. No, 11. Their inward thought is their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. And look at they changed Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. This is what the scriptures is talking about, the wicked, that their houses shall continue forever. They think that they're going to go to the Mars and plant Mars and go live under the water and have all of these underground cities that's worth $2 trillion or $25 trillion. And, you name it, the heathen are there, and they want to continue their lie, because it's a convenient lie that's going on, but the inconvenient truth, nobody want to be a part of it. Nobody want to be the part of the truth. It's a hard pill to swallow. You can't handle the truth. because the truth hurts. The truth cuts you up, man. But going back to Esau Edom, he thinks that his life is going to continue, that there won't be no end, not knowing he's on a borrowed time, that the Lord controls good and evil. The Lord is in every part. Not only that, the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, right? Let me see if I can alter spirit. I gotta. Sirach 23:18, it says, "A man that breaketh wedlock, saying thus in his heart, Who seeth me? I am compassed about with darkness. The walls cover me, and nobody seeth me. What need I to fear? The Most High will not remember my sins. Such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, and considering the most secret parts." So the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. Going back to that Proverbs 15:3, it's saying the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding evil and good. That's why in 16:4, the Lord has made everything for himself, yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. So the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. The Lord is beholding good and evil, and he's made a day for the evil, to be taken out. That's why we read also this, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. For, the men of the world which had a portion of this life, whose belly thou fillest with thy hidden treasure. They are full of children, and lead the rest of their substance to their babes. As for me, I will behold my face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. Yes, when we wake up in the kingdom, or when we're ruling the kingdom, and we in the likeness of the Lord, we got the law, statute, commandments written in our inward parts. We're not sinning. We're not going off. We're in our right mind. We're in our right mind, and we're ruling the kingdom, the right way, and ruling the earth in righteousness and not in wickedness. That's all we hope for and pray for, So, like I said, this wasn't supposed to be long. Just wanted to pull out those 3 scriptures. I'm going to read it again. A soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words store up anger. Watch your mouth. Every idle word that you speak will give account for in the day of judgment. Watch what you're teaching. Make sure you're breaking down it the right way. Make sure you going back to study and make sure you're saying the right things to feed the flocks. Remember, we're supposed to feed the sheep daily. We got flocks and herds. We got the flocks, and then you got the herds out there. And those herds gonna, as society keep going on, and you seeing that GMS is 100% right. These herds are going to try to flock, and we know that the elect is in part in some of these herds out here. The flock of Yahweh Shem Yahushua is getting fed because they're the elect of the nation of Israel. They was chosen to be fed. But the elect are in some of these herds as well, and waiting for them to come out. Because, like, starting with our elder apostle Tohar on down, we believe that in some of these other groups that the elect is amongst them, just waiting to break free. So watch what you say. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge, all right, but the mouth of fools pour out foolishness. You're a damn fool if you go running your mouth to everybody about what you do, about the Hebrew Israelites. You at your job wearing fringes. You at your job talking about, I don't work on the Sabbath. You at your job boasting how you don't eat pork in front of everybody's face. This is things like that. All you say is, oh, I'm allergic to pork. Pork don't do my body well, But you can't be out there just running around, saying you righteous and still working on Esau. We know, we understand, you know better, you do better, Not everything meant to let people know. I ran into this chick that's been feeling me for the last week or so, and she she's interested, in me, but I'm like, I got too much going on, you know, just, go about your day, basically go about your day, I was telling her is what I'm involved in, we try to stay away from women. We try to keep, we ain't trying to add women to us and all of that stuff. We try to stay away from them, man. And she just took that and left. She understood, she understood and left. So, you know, but I ain't have to, I didn't tell her about what I do. I ain't tell her going to, oh, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I preach on Saturday, blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't do that. I gave her soft answers, and it turned away wrath, because these women bring wrath. A lot of these women got multiple demons on them, super demons, man, super demons. And they just want to suck your time up, so to speak. They want to suck your time up, suck you up, suck your time up, pardon my French, but that's, pull you into their vibrational world, and you got to fight that. You got to say, no, I'm good. I'm good. You gave me what I needed, and I'm good. I'm out. I'm not going to be there just like that for you. But nevertheless, gave her a soft answer, and now she gone, hopefully. But in verse 3, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and good. So the Lord has his watchful eye out here. So with that said, I hope you was edified. On to the next. Shalom.